let us note for a moment that most of us have come from far away. Some of us have come from Berlin, and I know there's a car with blissful devotees on the road from Berlin. We saw them a few times. They were all the time singing in their cars. We could see because the windows were all damp, there was fog in the car from all the singing. Some have come from Amsterdam, I can see, Nilambara, and all your devotees from Amsterdam. Others from Central Germany, from South Germany, we have devotees from Munich, and so on. And I don't know from which places you have all come. I believe the reason why you have come is to just be in a good Krishna conscious atmosphere, so that you can find a little shelter for some time and perhaps inspirations. We are quickly approaching the year 2023, let's call it the calendar year 2023, and some of us have also come to celebrate the change of years in a devotional company. We may have hoped to get some inspiration. There is an interesting songbook where a very good theme for our Sanga Mela is discussed. The songbook is called Sharanagati, and it was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the 18th century. And there he ends one of his songs with a very interesting request to Krishna. He says, "Please maintain my life." And then it becomes really revealing, by giving me taste. Our devotional life, our spiritual life is so very much dependent on taste. When we have taste, everything becomes quite easy. When we have no taste, easy things can become difficult. I do remember in Mumbai, one of my starkest realization is when I was stopped by a beggar on one of these traffic stops, and he came to my window and he looked very blissful, and he asked me for something. So I felt he looked so blissful. I gave him prasadam, we had prasadam, but I also gave him some donation. And when I was leaning out of the window, I saw he had no legs. I wanted to give him this. And my interest was arisen. Why was he so happy? There were so many beggars, other beggars, they were looking very bitter, most probably angry that they did not get a good donation or whatever. But this beggar looked so blissful. And I asked the devotees with me to ask him in Hindi or whatever language they speak in Mumbai. Marathi they speak, I think, generally. In Marathi, how is it that you feel so blissful? And he said, well, I have my house in the slum and we have a family. I have a wife who loves me and the children, and I like it so much there. So a little later within the week, I decided to visit the slums. I didn't have an address of him. I think there is no address for beggars. I asked him, so I went to the slums. Let me see, there is something with this audience which is, they need a little, you need a little help. This part is not for children, maybe we should say this.
We have a room upstairs. On the stairs, on the right side is like a library where you can also listen to lecture and where you, at the same time you can take care of your children, they can play, they can write. So I will just go now, right now there. Please all parents with small children follow me and I will show you where is that wonderful room.
That paradisical palace-like playroom where you hear the whole lecture also. Ja, also Kinder, jetzt ist die Zeit für euch gekommen. Das ist absolut kinderfreundlich hier. Das ist Nektar für Kinder. Yes. So I went to the slums to just check out the living circumstances, and they were so, I mean, have you seen the Mumbai slums? My God. Very, very poor conditions. There is a constant stench in the air because the open canalization, there's an open canalization and it all flows by and it really smells very aggressive, you could say. And I saw a few dwellings there. I don't know if I saw the house of my beggar, but he had everything. He, you know, when you have, in the same way in devotional life, my dear devotees, you may be poor, you may have physical problems which you are concerned with, you may have terrible relationships because sometimes it happens in Kali Yuga. But if you have taste in devotional life, then it is not so difficult. Everything is possible because taste maintains our devotional life more than food, more than even relationships, more than being situated in the Dharma. And it is this taste which I think we want to all get during the Sanga Mela. In the Bhagavatam is a very interesting little episode which I wanted to bring your attention to. After a long time, Vidura comes back from a long pilgrimage. He had gone all over India really, and was not seen by his nephews, the Pandavas. So after a long time, he comes back to the palace of Yudhishthira, who's now the king of the world. When Vidura left, it was just before the big war, the war of Kurukshetra, and it was a terrible war, as every one of you knows. But at the end, Krishna installed Yudhishthira, the Dharmic king, as the rightful emperor of the world. And it was at that time where Vidura came back to see the Pandavas. It's described when Vidura, who was dressed very simple in the dress of a pilgrim, came over the threshold of the palace, all the Pandavas got up like senses of a body which was dead get up when life returns. So they felt Vidura, wow, he is the life of our life. And all the 5 Pandavas got new life and greeted their beloved uncle. And at that time, Yudhishthira addressed Vidura about what he felt in his heart. Yudhishthira told him about the benefits of devotional association, something which we do here in the Sanga Mela. Sanga Mela Mela means festival, and Sanga means association. So you can, by understanding this word, which Yudhishthira said to Vidura, you can get a very good idea of what we are trying to do. No? Bhavad Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Svayam Vibhu Tirti Kuvanti Tirtani Svantastena Gadabrita. So this is what Yudhishthira said to welcome his uncle who had been in holy places. He said, "My dear Vidura, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places where you go into places of pilgrimage." My dear devotees, places of pilgrimage are amazing. Some of us have just returned from Vrindavan, and you know, Vrindavan is a place where you can actually feel that Radha and Krishna are so close. They're just like neighbors, just around the corner, and you can meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these places of pilgrimage, you know, you see the deities of Krishna on the many altars, and sometimes when you visit these deities of Krishna, for instance in the Krishna Balaram Mandir, you feel that the deities have a message for you. You feel they are almost talking to you. Not quite, but something like that. They make a very clear statement of you. But Vidura here says there are stagnant holy places and there are moving holy places. Do you know what he refers to as a moving holy place? Yes? Devotees, they move. And why are they holy places? They carry Krishna in the heart. Yes. You may say not all of you carry Krishna in the heart, but I would disagree. The Lord is in everyone's heart, also in the heart of someone who is just coming to Golokadam for the first time. And they are, if they are devotees, you know, they are many times during the day or during the week thinking of Krishna. They read about Krishna, they pray to Krishna. Many devotees chant the holy names of Krishna and visit kirtans and visit websites on the internet where there is more information of Krishna. So yes, there are these moving holy places, the devotees, where Krishna in the heart is very active. And these devotees, these mobile holy places are different from, let us call them, stagnant holy places, who stay at one place. These holy places who are staying in India, who are there in India, you have to make a great endeavor to meet them, to go there, and nowadays sometimes to cross the borders. It has become increasingly difficult for those with English passports and so on and so on. But I would say that although you can meet Krishna there on the heart, on the altars, in these stagnant holy places, Krishna rarely speaks to you just like opening his lips and making really recordable, auto-recordable instructions to you. However, in the Bhagavatam it says these mobile holy places are different. In the mobile holy places, or in other words, in the hearts of the devotees, Krishna behaves different. In a stagnant holy place, he may not talk to you. He may not, well, he gives you indications for sure. I will keep on going on pilgrimage to Vrindavan as long as there are donkeys who carry me. But donkeys, I meant, there may be a time when the traffic, when the trains or what is it, airplanes don't go. But at that time, at least we find some horses or some bicycles or some donkeys, perhaps anything which can carry us. No, yes, I will go to these holy places, but in the meantime, I think we should know how to take benefit of the mobile holy places, Svantage, where the Lord is in the heart. It is described in the 5th canto about these moving holy places and how Krishna talks through them by associating with persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mukunda is the all and all. One can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand them. The activities of Mukunda are so potent that simply by hearing of them one associates with the Lord. For a person who constantly and very eagerly hears narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead in the form of sound vibrations, enters within his heart and cleanses it of all contamination. So, in the stagnant holy places, Krishna can be visited on the altars, but when you go to the mobile holy places, the devotees, and hear from them, then Krishna in the form of sound vibration enters within in the heart. And what does he do there? He cleanses the heart of all contamination. When you hear about Krishna from devotees, your heart becomes unburdened from the heavy burdens of material existence, which your life pushes into your hearts. You become unburdened. This is different from the local holy places. For here the Bhagavatam speaks of the Ganga. On the other hand, one may bathe in the Ganga, and this diminishes bodily contaminations and affections. This process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart, however, only after a long time. Therefore, who is the sane man and the sane woman who will not associate with devotees to quickly perfect his life? Prabhupada writes, bathing in the Ganges can certainly cure one of many infectious diseases, but it cannot cleanse one's materially attached mind, which creates all kinds of contaminations and troubles in material existence. However, one who directly associates with the Supreme Lord by hearing of his activities, cleanses the dirt from his mind, and very soon comes to Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada quotes a verse, Shrinvatam, Svakata Krishna. Please, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantasto Hyabadrani, Vidonoti Suritsatam. The Supreme Lord within everyone's heart becomes very pleased when a person hears narrations of his activities, and he personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of the listener. Hridyantasto Hyabadrani Vidonoti. He washes off all dirt from the mind. Material existence is caused by dirty things within the mind. If one can cleanse his mind, he immediately comes to his original position of Krishna consciousness, and thus his life becomes successful. Therefore, all the great authorities in the devotional line have recommended this one process over all others, to come together to devotees, amongst devotees, to have the sadhu sangha in the association of devotees and hear about Krishna in this association. It is the fastest and easiest sadhana in this age of Kali, which can cleanse the mind from all the troublesome things which accumulate there naturally as we go through our lives. It is natural that in this age of Kali, as we go through our lives, we will be confronted with negativity. You just need to open the newspapers and immediately you get news of war, of economic crisis, and the news are so much that many people feel insecure these days and they are not sure about it. And you can now these things which you hear, they create impressions in the heart. And do you know what? The bad impressions are stronger and more long-lasting than the good impressions. Think of a normal day where you go through various experiences. You meet people, you take things, and you give things, you buy things, and so on. And then you hear music perhaps, or you hear something, you drive. It's a normal day with many impressions. But think now, amongst all these impressions, there's one impression where one person talks to you and what he says really upsets your mind. What do you take with you into bed when you go and rest in the evening and switch the light off? All the many things which happened during the day, the good things and so on, or that one bad thing. Think about it. You will know from your experience it's the one bad thing, because psychologically speaking, bad is stronger than good for the condition. So that's why bad news sell and good news don't sell so well. So in Krishna consciousness, we also carry so many scars, so many samskaras, so many things that happen to us, or maybe the things which happen to us are not even so bad, but we interpret, this is bad, and so on. We carry this. Now, how do you think will all this get out of your heart? Automatically? It goes when you put Krishna in the heart, and when you invite Krishna in the heart, And Krishna starts to slowly but surely remove all this negativity, and you will feel your life, your heart gets lighter, and you then begin to also feel some devotional inclination, perhaps that you would like to serve Krishna more, or that you would like to progress in your Krishna consciousness more. So this can happen in good Sangha, in good association, and that's why we called this particular festival, or we gave it this motto many years ago. It must be already, I don't know, 20 years, or how many years we've celebrated this festival? About 20, maybe 19 or so, who knows for sure. But we have this every year, because it is here where we wish to have this sadhu sangha and hear about Krishna. And the whole festival is arranged like this. There will be Bhagavatam classes, but there will be workshops. I was hearing Mrigendra Prabhu gives 1 or 2 workshops. I have not studied the schedule so good. Then there will be Krishna Katha. But in the in-between sections, I think in the in-between sections, you have association with all of you. And you can talk extraordinary talk. Why talk ordinary talk, which you can do with your neighbor also? They are very equipped for this. Why not extraordinary talk? What is your experience in spiritual life? How do you deal with disappointment in spiritual life? And then you can maybe get some good tip that helps you to deal with your life in a better and more mature way. I want to say, Sadhu Sangha doesn't only happen when we listen to lectures or go to workshops or are in kirtan. Sadhu Sangha happens when we go a little bit out of our normal thing, talk perhaps with devotees we have not talked before, and practice something like how do you say, sound hygiene. We want pure sound, we want to make pure sound, and want that pure sound enters our ears. Just like we practice, what do you call it, a physical hygiene in the morning, we take showers and so on. There is also something like sound hygiene. No? We are careful what sounds we allow in our hearts, so that they can purify our hearts, and the energy, the spiritual energy, can increase and not decrease. Yeah, so Sadhu Sangha, yes, I wanted to say, Yudhishthira greeted Vidura and said, you were on pilgrimage. We couldn't go on pilgrimage. We stayed all the time in Hastinapur while you were visiting Ganga and Vrindavan and Haridwar and all these other places. But we feel that you are a mobile place of pilgrimage. You have come to us, and now we can meet Krishna through hearing from you, because whereas the holy places may not always speak to us in letters, in a voice, you can speak to us in your good voice, and you can talk and give expressions to your own devotion. You can express your own devotion, and in this way we can make our life perfect. This is what I wanted to say. It's a simple theme. I'm very, very happy to be here. Do you have any questions regarding these subjects where I could perhaps give some further insights? Bhagavadama, Hare Krishna. I saw Bhagavad Dharma last in an airport. Yes.
It's not a direct question, but thank you very much for your nice speech. You mentioned this point that how the bad news sells. I was inspired to say this, that yes, this also refers to our Shastras. The bad news sells, like we hear the story of Prahlad Maharaj almost the whole 7th canto, and we actually only hear the bad things, but at the end, we just remember Nrsimhadev. Like Prahlad Maharaj became the king when he was 5 years old, and he had a beautiful life of Krishna consciousness and family and all that, but we don't hear that. We hear that all the hardships, but at the end, we just remember Nrsimhadev. Or the Pandavas, they have all the difficulties, they go through the Kurukshetra, but we remember their victory. So in the spiritual sense, also the bad news sells, but at the end, we remember Krishna.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, Shastras, everything is good news there. Lord Chaitanya, I do remember, listened to 2 kathas again and again. Dhruva Maharaj, the king who was, the prince who was rejected by his father, and Prahlad Maharaj, the young prince who was also attacked and rejected by his father. Yes, he listened to this, and again and again, and when Gadadhar Pandit had reached the end of this katha, he said, "Tell it again." And the reason I understand was that we can hear that from these 2 we get an understanding of determination in Krishna consciousness. Our Krishna consciousness is so much dependent on at least on the beginning stages of making a determined effort. But then the mercy of the Lord is so much. The Lord feels so much. Jiva Goswami says, when the Lord sees how his devotees are so determined, even in the face of so many obstacles, like Prahlad was facing, the Lord's heart becomes butter soft. Hare Krishna. So in that way, the devotee greets obstacles in his life. He has always a different perspective. These devotees are different people. Yeah. Gaura Hari.
You were mentioning in the lecture about the importance of associating with devotees and have like relevant talks and deep discussion. I notice it's very often quite difficult. We are in our own way and we usually speak on the same things. And what is your advice to help us to, since it's deeply engraved to speak on the material level, what is your tip for us to make the switch?
Yeah, a switch, to throw the switch requires some mental discipline. I noticed at the end of the year, I became very ill. I'm not infectious, by the way. I have to say this nowadays. But I developed, anyways, not so important. So I needed to go to the doctor and take really heavy medication. And I noticed how for a little time my mind was engaging with these problematic things. And I'm now ill. I needed to go to bed and stay in bed. I mean, I didn't manage to do it all the time, but a little bit. And in that time, I decided, why should I think now about only illness? There's so many more interesting things. And I wrote a poem which I want to quote to you as an answer. The poem it's a little poetic, so you need to hear. Listen very carefully. Why only talk to the doer? I could also say, why only talk to the man who deals with problems? When I have so many more interesting people living in the many rooms of my beautiful house. Why not talk to the visionary who lives under the roof and who can show me new horizons? Or why not make an appointment with the adventurer who lives in me, and he will tell me, if you are more daring to be yourself, you will have a much, much, much fascinating life. Or I could talk also to the philosopher who will say to me, have you considered this different perspective? Or to the singer who will simply laugh at me and say, why not sing and dance with me? Why do I only talk to the person who solves problems, the problem solver? If I have so many more interesting and inspiring people who live in my beautiful house. I think you have to make a decision in your life. You have to make the choice. You can stay with the people or the aspects of your personality. I always point to people, these voices inside of you who are always thinking about problems. You can choose with the visionary inside of you, the one who is making plans for a better future. Or you can talk with the one who likes to read scriptures, and in this way get so many good inspirations. Why only talk with the problem person? Huh? I started the poem, why only talk to the manager who has to take care of things? Why not talk to the person, to all the other important persons in my house, in my beautiful house? You have to learn this discipline. Vidura is a very good example. You know, Vidura had always advised his brother Dhritarashtra and the sons of Dhritarashtra, led by Duryodhana, please make peace with the Pandavas. On this one day which I want to tell you about, Vidura said, why don't you see? We have to make peace with the Pandavas. The Pandavas are Krishna's 5 life heirs. They're the pranas of Krishna. Krishna says, someone who likes the Pandavas likes me. Someone who hates the Pandavas hates me. So when as Vidura talked, Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, became so angry he had to leave the palace 5 times. He couldn't just hear all this talk about Krishna and the Pandavas. 5 times he ran out, hissing like a trampled snake. He ran out of the palace room. Finally he came back and he said, Vidura, who are you to talk like this to us? You are the son of a kept maidservant. Take everything away. Gods, take everything from him away. Leave him only with his breath. Take all the cloth which we gave him, the royal cloth, away from him. Take the turban away from him. Take the decorations away from him. Leave him only with a breath. That is a way to say, strip him naked, you know. So Vidura heard this, and we find in the commentary, it's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Srila Prabhupada, about his amazing reaction. He saw on one side, yes, this was Maya. Duryodhana was in Maya. But on the other side, he saw, this is Krishna, who makes an arrangement for me to leave the palace. So Vidura got up, he marched out of the palace. On the door, he left his bow, meaning I'm resigning my Kshatriya duties here. I was up till now the mantri. Mantri means the prime minister, but I'm leaving this now at the steps of the door, and I'm going to find Krishna. Finally, I'm free. I'm free. Free like the wind. Duryodhana said, leave him only with a breath. I am now the child of the wind. I will move to the holy places and meet the personality of Godhead. He chose to not be hurt. He chose to not be offended. He chose to not associate only with the problem person inside who attracts problems. He chose to be together with the adventurer and the pilgrim inside of him, the devotee inside of him. He went on his devotional journey. I think we all have this choice at every moment, but we may have to practice it a little bit. Because remember, in the material world, and we are still material creatures, we are born from a mother by the help of a father. We are grown up on eating. We have grown up on eating. We have gone to material educations. We are material beings, physically and subtly. It's still there, but therefore we feel attracted to the bad. Bad is strong for us, material beings, but we have the choice, especially in devotional life. And I want you all to wake up to this fact. You have a choice to make these 3 days, which you feel, not only days of prasadam, not only, maybe sometimes the heat will be a little less, then you may have to make push-ups to feel warm, but don't stay with these things, the challenges of being on pilgrimage. Don't stay there. Stay with the beautiful opportunity you have, the beautiful choice, the beautiful, the possibility to make this an extraordinary stay. Hare Krishna. It is usually said, Gaurahari, if you want to make a choice in your life, you need to be in a position where you can actually choose, and that's mostly a sattvic life. If you feel you're stuck in your life, you need to see where is Tamagun and Rajagun having an influence on me, and need to increase the sattvic influences in your life, and that will help you to make wise choices. Or, like I always do, I'm reading in the Bhagavatam, and there you can get a lot of spiritual knowledge that strengthens you to make the right choice. When we are weak, we cannot choose. We are more or less moved when we are weak by the lower modes. Good. So I will end here. Krishna, should we end the evening with a short kirtan? Yes. So, you are come here. I have to look like at you because you played much too fast when we started. It's not easy to play Mridanga in Satchidananda Swami's kirtan. No problem for you. And I will look with laser eyes on you. Slow and watch the cartons and listen and sing. You can do it. Yeah. Yeah, I request every one of you to turn to the deities now. I will stay here because the microphone is here. God Krishna will also stay here. Maybe you want to move a little bit to be closer. And Padma and Mridanga player, you please stay with me here. Come, don't be afraid. Good.